All right, here everyone. Thanks for being here at USA Crypto Group for this AMS session. We have CeramicLiberty with us today,
Hi,
and they
everyone.
stand for. Oh, go ahead, Ceramics. Go. You can go ahead and start out introducing yourself, talking about your team, and just kind of give us a bit of insight into your background experience.
hmm Yeah, so I've been a blockchain developer since around 2018, and I've been developing on BSC since 2020. And also for the last year or two, I've been trying to assist TerraClassic with their stable coin, trying to get their stable coin back to $1. So that's a whole story there. But that's my background. The project here is called Clay, CL8Y, and I'm the only team member. It's basically I was saw that Trump meme coin launch, and I kind of got inspired by it because basically it's a way for people to support Trump and his mission, and that's I was looking at that. I was thinking, well, if Trump can do it, I can do it too. And there's kind of an issue going on because everything I write is open source. I don't write closed source code. All the code I write, you can see it yourself. It's on GitHub, and I'm radically open source. So I open source the smart contracts, the testing, the environment, like the front end, everything I open source. But it's kind of a problem for projects that use my tech because it's a little weird for them to pay me because they're paying me for a public good, because anyone can use this code that I write, not just the project that's paying me. So the idea here is that if I create a meme coin where I control a large percentage of the supply, then projects can support that meme coin, and they don't have to, and they can support this production of public goods that I'm doing without having this kind of question about, like, why are they paying me for something that anyone can use? And when I talked to projects about this, they were really excited about it. And Zodiac, which is a BSC DeFi protocol, has already committed to do substantial monthly buys, several $1,000s a month of Clay that they'll do every month for burns and liquidity, and that's going to be automated with smart contracts, so it's unstoppable. So it will continue on forever, as long as the blockchain continues to survive. So long after my life. And other projects have also come forward to support it. They're going to be buying at launch, adding liquidity, and it kind of depends on their specific situation, like how they're going to support the coin. So Clay is going to be launched simultaneously on March 1st on TerraClassic and on BSC. On TerraClassic, it's with Garuda Dex, they want to support the work that I'm doing for TerraClassic, so they're providing liquidity on their GDEX on TerraClassic, and then on BSC, Zodiac will be providing liquidity on the Tidal Dex, which is their new DEX on BSC. So I can walk you guys through the tokenomics really quick, but just want to kind of check in and see if there's any questions about that.
Yeah. Thanks for that introduction by yourself there. So, yeah, I mean, you say you are a blockchain developer, so apparently, from what it sounds like, you do have a lot of connections in the space, huh?
Yeah, I've been around for a while. This is really the first project where it's really mine. One thing I decided is I only want one person on the team, which is me, because with the AI agents now, like, I can use the AI agents to automate a lot of the stuff that you would normally need team members for. And when you look at these like meme coins, like this Argentinian meme coin, it's a great idea, right? Like Libra, like you're going to support the pro-freedom movement in Argentina. But what happened is you had all of these insiders who start dumping the coin. Like the team was too big, there was too many influencer giveaways. So one thing I've committed to is 50% of the tokens are going to liquidity and 50% are going to my wallet. And so what that means is the only person who can dump is me. So that's it. There's no influencers. There's no team people who are going to start like dumping on insiders. And that's kind of the angle that I'm taking here. But yeah, I know quite a few people, and I'm not going to say that I've always made the best decisions. I've definitely made my share of mistakes in my career. But generally, people enjoy working with me. I enjoy working with them, and most people have a pretty positive experience working with me, and that's what's kind of driven the core growth of the community, is just that people like what I'm doing, they like my open source work, and want to support it.
Open source is the only way. I mean that's yeah. I mean I support that 100%. Yeah, so yeah, let's talk about the tokenomics. Like you said, 50% goes to the liquidity and 50% a wallet. Now, before we go into tokenomics, have you had any kind of like funds raising rounds at all?
No, I'm not doing any fundraising. So all of the liquidity, it's being provided by projects that use my technology. So these projects want to support the technology. They're going to create locked liquidity on both GDEX and TileDex, and they're doing this because they use my tech and they want to support this meme coin. Because they know that if I continue develop, if I'm able to support myself with this meme coin, then they can continue to benefit from my open source work, and they don't have to hire closed source developers or these other or hire expensive development teams in order to build their tech. They can just continue to fork or copy or use the work that I publish on GitHub. And it's really, open source is really the way of the future. And the reason for that is for a couple of reasons. So one reason is just it's auditable. So when you use most platforms like let's say you're using you go to your bank website, for instance. You don't actually know what code is running on inside the bank. And so what that means is there's ways around that. So like there's customer service, there's like AML controls they can do. They have all these controls that they do to try to prevent people from abusing their technology. But because it's closed source, there's always new ways that this technology gets abused. There's always new fraud and stuff happening. But with open source, it's not perfect, but at least people can look at the code, see how it works, and they can determine that it's secure. So that's one reason. The other reason why open source really matters is kind of more of a decentralized and kind of mindset. So the idea is that when you have a closed source code, the quality can only be as good as the developers that work on it. But with open source, anyone can contribute, anyone can copy, anyone can fork. And so what happens is the quality of open source code increases over time more than closed source code can. There's some limitations to that, the main one being funding. Like, how do you fund open source developers like me? I take a much lower salary. I earn much less than if I worked for a closed source company, but because I believe in open source, that's why I do what I do. But with these new funding mechanisms, whether it's meme coins or other things that are out there, I think that open source is going to become bigger and bigger. And then AI agents are going to have a huge factor, because if you can use AI agents to write open source, the cost of developing that code goes down a lot. So I really believe open source is the future, and that's kind of why I do what I do.
Incredible. And I think man, you got my support 100% on that. Now, I have not checked out your GitHub and your repository yet, but you have a pretty good following over there.
Yeah, so mostly people don't follow me on GitHub. Mostly they follow me on Telegram. So you can join the Telegram chat. I think there's a link to it at CeramicLiberty. You can check out my GitHub. It's Plastic Digits on GitHub. But mostly, you know, it's funny, but a lot of times people will fork or use my technology and they won't even tell me. Like, I'll check on GitHub and then I'll see, oh, my code was copied and now this project is using it. And it always makes me kind of happy to see that kind of thing happening.
Wow, that is awesome. I would check it out for sure. Yeah, so I mean, you guys are, pro-liberty movement and human freedom, right? And so that's pretty much what CeramicLiberty stands for. And hey, I love the mission. I love the mission of it. I think that's how it should be, right? And I think that's what ChatGPT right now with the rivalry going on with Elon and ChatGPT, right? Isn't it like right now? Isn't it Elon's trying to make everything open source? Is that what it is?
Yeah, he is, and I strongly support that. You know, and it's crazy because unfortunately, this like AI safety movement in the U.S. has made the U.S. fall behind in open source AI. So what's happening is it's very strange, but basically in China, they have like this kind of exception for AI that is for the public good. So if the AI is open source in China, they don't have to follow all of the censorship regulations. They still have to follow some of them, but not as many as they would normally need to. And what that means is these AI companies are releasing these open source models in China, and the US is falling a bit behind in open source. So I strongly support Musk's like position that, hey, we need to get this AI out and into the hands of the people, because I don't know about you, but I don't really like having an AI that tells me what to think about Tiananmen Square or these kind of historical events in China that are not very pro-freedom.
100%, 100%. Because I think DeepSeek from China, that is an open source, correct?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and people even have it running on Raspberry Pis, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I use AI in like every aspect of what I do now, from writing tech to, you know, keeping people updated on Twitter, to even like a strategy for like how do we create this meme coin. And then even AI is even pretty good now at like, you can't rely on it completely, but like in the case of Clay, we kind of have this mission oriented brand, and so I have to be a little careful. Like some things that meme coins normally do, we can't really do because of the branding issue, meaning like we don't do pre-sales, we don't do private sale, we don't do whitelisting. People have asked for these things. Like people ask me, hey, you know, can't you add me to a whitelist? And when I check on it, it's just not aligned with the brand. And in some ways it's a little risky, because when you have this kind of mission oriented coin, expectations are a lot higher, but I'm doing my best to kind of keep up with those expectations.
You know, I gotta be honest with you. You know, when I first looked at the project, I checked the website. I'm like, oh man, there's not much information on here. But now I've gotten to know you. I'm actually excited about this project and see how this is going to develop.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
think
maybe I should add.
yeah,
Yeah,
let's get
maybe I
into the
should add.
tokenomics ceramic. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe I should add an additional section to the website, a bit more about my background, because yeah, it is a little sparse.
It is actually. Once I think people get to know you, I think yeah, I think I mean things change all of a sudden for me. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm.
Now I'm actually very curious about the project. Yeah, let's get into the tokenomics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let me walk you through it really quick. So these are a little bit unsettled because I am talking to a couple of other projects that might want to support Clace, in which case we might have to change things a little bit. But the plan is a 2 million cap supply. As I said before, 50% goes to liquidity, 50% goes to my wallet. No team tokens except for me. No influencer tokens. No private sale. No whitelisting, etc. Launch date is March 1st, 2025. And then we have a little bit of a divergence between how things work on TerraClassic versus BSC. So for ease of bridging, we're using a bridged token on TerraClassic, so we can't have like custom features on it. So let me walk through that for a minute. So on BSC, we're going to have half the supply on BSC. It's going to start off at a very low price, $1 for 1,000 clay. There's initial liquidity is going to be $1,000. There's no buy fees, but we are going to have a sell burn. So the idea is that on the first day at the launch time, a lot of people are going to buy and a lot of people are going to sell, right? And really what Clay is for in the long term is for people who want to hold and support my technology. But I also appreciate people who, they just want to have a fun event and they want to trade the launch. So we set up this high burn so that if the price goes up 10x, 100x in the first day, sure, you pay a 30% sell fee if you sell on that first day, but you've made so much money that it's fine. You can afford that burn. But then what we do is over time, we reduce that burn. So after 24 hours, we start reducing the burn. And then after 7 days, it goes down to 1%. And then as the market cap goes up, we eventually drop that down to 0.25%. We also want to avoid snipers. And the way we're doing that is putting caps on the wallet. So for the first hour after the launch, you can only buy 1,000 clay in your wallet. And then for the first day, there's a 10,000 cap. And then after that, we lift the wallet caps so that we don't have issues with bridging or exchanges and things like that. So that's the basic plan for BSC. So the core idea is everyone gets a chance to buy in on that first day, and if they want to sell on the first day, they pay a high sell tax. But if they're willing to wait, then that tax quickly drops off. And another thing about BSC is if you buy that 1,000, which again it's only going to start at $1, if you buy that max bag in that first hour, or at any time during that first day, you get a 600. We call it 600 stimulus check. So just like those checks that Trump set out during his first presidency, you'll get a 600 clay airdrop if you buy and hold 1,000 clay in that first day. So that's how BSC is going to work. TerraClassic's a little simpler, so the price is going to start higher. It's going to be $10 for 1,000, and the liquidity is still going to be the same though. It's going to be 1,000. And what's going to happen in TerraClassic is, in order to increase the liquidity, I'm going to be selling the liquidity tokens to add additional liquidity onto TerraClassic. And that's because we can't have wallet caps on TerraClassic, so it's a big risk of snipers coming in and trying to grab a lot of tokens right at the start. So that's why we have a higher price. And also we have this sell risk for snipers. So if a sniper comes in and starts buying a lot of tokens, we can sell some of the liquidity tokens into that sniper and then add more liquidity for people who don't make that first a couple seconds of the trading opens. So, and then on TerraClassic, there's no buy or sell fees. So, and there's also no airdrop if you trade on that first day. So I know that's kind of a lot, but generally what I would say to people is if you want to really max out the amount of clay you get, you'll need to use both chains. You'll want to buy on both BSC and TerraClassic. If you just want to buy a small amount, you can kind of pick whichever chain you're more comfortable with. If you're more comfortable with BSC, then go with BSC. If you're more comfortable with TerraClassic, then go with TerraClassic. And there's going to be bridging. So during the first day, we're not going to have bridging enabled because the price is going to be different. But then after that first day, we're going to open up bridging so you can move the tokens back and forth and the price will equalize. So some people will probably find some arbitrage opportunities there as well.
Okay, I was going to say, it looks like it may be a lot of arbitrage opportunity there, especially from Terra Luna to BSC, seems like. But after 24 hours, the bridging will be opened up and the price will be in alignment. Okay.
Yeah, and part of how we're going to keep the price aligned is we can't, because TerraClassic doesn't have wallet caps, we have to sell tokens on TerraClassic. So even though the price starts higher, there's also going to be sell pressure from the liquidity wallet over that first day. So that's also how we're going to, I'm sure the price will not be perfectly aligned when the bridge opens, but I don't think it's going to be too crazy.
Now, what makes you decide there, Ceramics, that you want to launch on both chains? It seems like you have a lot of love for Terra Luna. What is the reason for both chains?
So basically, it's people who are using my technology. So on BSC, that's Zodiac and Tidal Dex. They're using my technology. So that's why we're on BSC. For TerraClassic, I don't know. Do you want me to kind of go through the story? I don't know if people here are familiar with the story of what happened with Terra.
I think let's go through it. I think we all, I think a lot of us know the story behind it. Let's go through it.
Yeah, so let's just kind of review things because it happened a while ago, so we kind of forget. So basically, what happened is Terra was originally called Terra, and it was a chain with a stable coin called UST, and basically the tokenomics for that stable coin were not designed correctly, and so the price collapsed. The tokenomics weren't designed correctly, but also Do Kwon transferred a lot of Bitcoin that was supposed to be used to stabilize the price to his personal wallet. Do Kwon was the project lead for Terra, and he's now in prison in the United States, which is good. So that's kind of the story there. TerraClassic is that original chain, and their stablecoin fell from $1 down to a penny, so a 99% collapse. And I actually have helped projects with stablecoins before. So Zodiac had a stablecoin, CZUSD, that fell from $1 to 10 cents after a hack happened. And one of my roles was to bring that back to $1, which I did. I created a plan that would do that. The plan worked, and CZUSD has been floating around $1 ever since. Usually it goes between 98 cents and $1.02. So because of that success I had with CZUSD, some of the key validators, some of the key members of the TerraClassic community asked me to come in and see what could be done to fix their stablecoin, the UST coin. So I've been working a lot with the TerraClassic community, and I know a lot of people in the TerraClassic community. And originally, I wasn't going to launch a meme coin. I wasn't going to launch this meme coin on TerraClassic, but when they started hearing about it and they're like, oh, it's going to be on BSC, well, can we do it on TerraClassic too? I was like, well, I don't want to, I want to be a little careful here because we haven't repegged your stablecoin yet, right? That's still an ongoing process. But they were like, well, actually, if you do this, there's some parts of the white paper that you wrote that we can test. So the white paper requires cross-chain collateral in order to back their new stablecoin, get their stablecoin back to $1. And there was a lot of people who were like, well, TerraClassic can't support bridging. Well, I disagree with that. I think TerraClassic can support bridging, and Clay is going to prove that. So that's a big reason why I'm doing this cross-chain launch, is to prove the technology that I developed for them, that it will work. And the other reason is just because I really want their stablecoin to get back to $1. It's at $1. It's a penny in. It's 1.5 cents right now, and I think a lot of people were really screwed over by fraud. And it's my belief that if we as a community, because bringing this back from a penny to $1 is a huge project. I mean, it's a huge coin. It's a huge community. Even it's millions and millions of dollars, and people lost billions on this collapse. And if we can bring it back to $1, we can show the world that DeFi really works, that stablecoins really work, and that can help build more confidence in the ecosystem. So that's another reason why I'm doing the TerraClassic launches, because we're going to be supporting their stablecoin USTC with liquidity. So that's going to create some domestic demand. It's going to be a small amount, but it will at least create some proof that their coin USTC is still viable. It's still possible to bring it back to $1. And so those are kind of the two main reasons. It's really about trying to improve the ecosystem and help people see that DeFi can work and that it's not just fraud. I mean, there's a lot of fraud, but we want to stop the fraud and we want to replace it with solid, well-designed protocols.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, very, very important reasons there that you have going on there. Now, let me ask you this, though. Now, there isn't any kind of like bridging on Terra Luna at the moment?
Yeah, there is. So, yeah. So it's a long story, but basically the wormhole is working. So you can use a app called Portal, and you can actually very easily bridge tokens and get them listed to bridge through their Portal app. So it's quite easy, actually. And so I'm kind of excited for people to learn about this bridging solution that already exists.
Okay, yeah. Wow, interesting. Yeah, I think that the founder of Terra there is in there forever, like for life, right?
I think they're still waiting for the trial, but man, I hope they put him away for a good long time, because he was just, man, I mean, the thing is, so I have kind of strong opinions about this, so, shut me up if I go on too long, but the thing is, like, when he started off, it's like, oh, you can earn 20% APR on your stable coins, and it's like, well, how are you paying this? Well, the way he was paying is he was just minting new coins that are unbacked. So if there's nothing backing the coin, then there's nothing to stabilize the price. So when you look at that, it's really a type of Ponzi, and we kind of overuse the term Ponzi a lot. But when I think of a Ponzi, I always think of Charles Ponzi, the original Ponzi schemer. So the thing about Ponzi's is often the people who do them are kind of innocent. So like in the case of Charles Ponzi, what he did was he thought he had this great business opportunity, which was arbitraging the price of stamps between the United States and Europe. Basically, he could buy stamps in one country and then sell them in a different country for a higher price. Well, so then he started telling people, oh, if you invest me, I'll give you your money back plus 30% in 3 months. And then people did that, and then he quickly got into this thing where he thought he had this great business, but what he actually was doing, and he didn't even realize this because he wasn't keeping good accounting, is that he was just paying out people with his old money. So he thought he's making money from stamp arbitrage, but he's actually just recycling the money that people are putting in. And then eventually the thing collapsed and he ran away to South America. Well, in the case of Do Kwon, it looked kind of similar at first to me early on, where it's like he's, basically promising people a yield that is not sustainable, 20% per year, based on what? Like, what's your revenue? Where's the money coming from? And the answer is, well, he's just saying it's going to be there, right? But it turns out that not only was there like a bad economic design, but he was in fact a fraudster. So he was in knowingly transferring assets that were supposed to back the coin to his personal wallet. So it would have collapsed anyway, even if he wasn't a fraudster. But you kind of look at these things, because there's a lot of times I think where projects fail or they have problems because there's some innovation that didn't go quite the way people hoped. But there's other cases where there's a collapse because someone was lying. Like, I mean, that's what Do Kwon was doing. He was lying. And in those cases, I think people really need to be punished, because if you don't punish people like that, then you create a culture where people think it's okay to just defraud others. And, I think that sometimes something people miss about liberty is that liberty does not mean you go out and you cheat people, right? Liberty means that you have the freedom you have your rights, you have your property rights, you have your right of freedom of speech, your right to weapons, your right to association, but you also can't infringe other people's rights. And those two things go hand in hand. You can't have liberty if people can just go out and lie, cheat, and steal. And that's a problem I see a lot in crypto, is where people think, oh, I have freedom, so that means I can go cheat others. And that's exactly the opposite of the mindset that we should be having. We should be having a mindset of, look, I have my freedom, I have my liberty, I have my rights, and I'm going to use those rights, and I'm going to respect the rights of others while I do that. And that's not Do Kwon. So I really think he should be in prison for a long time. I feel the same way about SBF. Have you heard about SBF? Apparently he was always an anti-Trumper, but now he's like, oh, Trump, please pardon me, get me out of prison. It's just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, SPF. Yeah, well, I think with Trump, pardon the Silk Road guy. I think that's probably what it is. Probably think there's an opportunity there. But yeah, you're right in regards to Do Kwon. I mean, it was a inflationary token where he has the ability to mint, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, which is the opposite of what you're trying to do over here with your token, which is deflationary, correct?
That's right. So there's two main ways that the supply of clay decreases. So one is we have a trading fee, but that's mostly just going to be during the first week from people who want to sell really fast, which a lot of people do, and that's fine. But the main way, in my mind, for people who are holding for the long term is these unstoppable DeFi burns. So projects that are using my technology, that want to support my meme coin, are going to be releasing smart contracts that will purchase clay and then burn part of it and add part of that as liquidity. So you're going to get increasing liquidity and reduced supply and domestic demand over time. Now that's going to be offset partly because I have to pay my bills, right? So these projects are going to be buying clay every month, and I'm going to be selling a little bit every month. But I can't sell too much, right? Because I own 50% of the supply. If I sell too much too fast, then 10 years from now, 20 years from now, where projects, are still using my technology and they're still supporting this meme coin and they've written these smart contracts that are automatically buying it, if I sell my coins, then I can't continue to use this to support my work in 10 or 20 years. And there's also some tax things too, which I don't want to get into too much, but basically if I sell a lot of coins very early on, not only do I lose my holding, but I also have some tax penalties for that as well. There's a tax benefit if I hold for the long term. So that's kind of the strategy here is projects support the coin, they buy it. I sell a little bit, but less than what they're buying. Over time, the supply falls, and I'm able to continue doing my open source development work, which will bring in even more projects and more buys and more burns over time. And projects are able to benefit from the technology. And the community gets to have a token that's has a rising price floor, a dropping supply, and over time, they're also supporting the entire ecosystem of open source development that I'm contributing to. So I think it's a pretty strong pitch, but it's something that almost everyone's going to be in favor of, but some people aren't. But almost everyone I've talked to has said that this is something that is quite fair, quite reasonable.
So, having run this USA crypto group for over 3 years now, I've done a lot of AMAs as well. So one of the metrics that a lot of investors they use to gauge whether the project is safe or not, or whether they want to invest in a project, and one of those metrics is the supply, right? The supply. Now, I definitely see your strategy of holding 50%. Now, will you consider like locking that up for like a duration of time and releasing that slowly whenever you feel that is needed? Is that something have you thought about?
Yeah, it is something I've thought about, but there's a couple of problems. So the first problem is related to tax. So basically, if I lock up the coins, I'm taxed on them when they're released. So if I do write a vesting contract, and then because right when the token is launched, the price is very low. So like if I receive 50% of the supply, but it's $1 for 1,000 clay, then I'm only receiving $500 in income. So the tax is pretty low. But if I do vesting, and let's say the price goes up to $1 per clay, which is entirely possible, where other coins that I've launched have reached, or other coins I've worked on have reached $1 million market caps or higher. So if it goes up to $1 per clay and I'm receiving 50% of the supply, well, now I'm receiving $500,000, or in this case, we've got 2 million, so 500,000 on each chain. I'm receiving $1 million in income. And now I've got to pay a huge amount of tax. And in order to pay that tax, I have to sell the token, right? So from a certain perspective, it's like, well, if you vest the tokens, it's better for the price, but actually it's not, because after the tokens vest, I have to sell them in order to pay taxes. Whereas if I'm getting $500 of income because the price is very low, then my tax is quite low. So that's the number one reason I'm not vesting. The second reason is that I think that people kind of have to trust me when they buy clay. So it's really for people who are want to support my work. So if you listen to this and you're like, this guy is crazy, I don't believe anything he said. I mean, everything I'm saying is documented. So everything I've done, like all my code is on GitHub. People have been following me for years and years. You can chat with them. They'll tell you every good thing and every bad thing I've ever done, right? So I'm not like an unknown person, but if you don't take the time to do that and you think, oh, I can't trust this guy, well, then you really shouldn't be buying this coin, right? So it's a little bit of a trust exercise where if it's vested, like let's say I do 6 month vesting, right? And people like, oh, the 6 month vesting is coming up, I better sell before his vesting comes, because people bought it because it's vesting thinking they can't trust me, so now they're going to exit after 6 months. Whereas if from day one, it's like, I tell you guys what I'm going to do. I say, I can't disclose my trading strategy perfectly, but I'm not going to touch my coins in the first week. There's no binding, there's no contract. Like I could sell them if I wanted to. I will sell them if I want to, but I'm telling you that I don't want to and I'm not going to. And then once you see that I didn't do that, then that trust kind of grows and expands over time.
Right. I definitely see your strategy there. I think in grander scheme of thing, I think a lot of people, with the technology nowadays, right? They usually just plug in the contract, and you have a bunch of different audit or automated auditor program out there that they literally scan a contract and say, oh, the founder is holding 50% in his wallet unlocked.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's going to weed out a lot of people just because they do not know you personally. And so I think that's going to prevent a lot of volume or interest in buying that. I know those are actually one of the ways that I actually scan a contract. I use 3 or 4 different programs, and it alerts you and say, and sometimes it gives you a little number. And it said, hey, founders, and usually the range that to bypass these audits, right? It's within 10%, usually.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that's above 10%, especially with 50, I think you're gonna get a lot of alerts out there that this token is not a trustworthy token. But then, like you said, seems like this is the strategy you want to implement, where people have to trust you, people have to know you, people have to hold, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But
So, yeah, I would say for people who are kind of questioning this, there's another thing I would point out, which is, with Trump's coin, he holds 70% of the supply, right? And this is 50%, so it's lower than that. And the other thing I would point out is just ask people, like, just come into my Telegram chat and like ask people, and like they won't tell you only good things about me. I mean, I've made my share of mistakes in the past, a lot of times related to experimenting with new things and then it not working out. But the thing is here, it's so simple, right? We have a token, we have some like rules and restrictions around like how it's going to behave in the first week. If you buy in at the launch, you get this opportunity to get a 600 clay airdrop, this stimulus check. If you bought, you're going to get a very good price, and it's not vesting. So that means that if you see I don't sell in that first day or that first week or that first hour, I mean, with some of these Solana coins, man, they don't even last 15 minutes. But if you really feel that hesitant, even after asking all these questions, even after seeing like, I am a sincere person, I have been consistent with doing what I say I'm going to do for a very long time, then just wait. You can wait as long as you want. You can wait 15 minutes, you can wait an hour, you can wait a day, you can wait a week, you can wait a month, but you're going to be paying a higher price, of course, for the coin. But if you're worried about getting rugged, then that would probably be the strategy I would recommend. And I think for those automated audits, we are going to audit Clay. That is happening. But I would caution a little bit about the automated audits. So I work a lot on these coins, and recently I developed this title dex for Zodiac, which it's all open source, and the main yield token for that dex, I don't want to go too much into it because this isn't really about them, but it has a rating I think of 1 out of 99 on the scanners. The coin is perfectly honest, right? The price has gone up over time. There's no rug, but it's labeled as a honeypot token, which to me there's no mechanism in the code to allow anyone to stop you from selling it. So why is it listing it as a honeypot token? So sometimes these automated audits can be really inaccurate. So I do think it's good if you're in a situation where you're looking at something completely new, you've never heard of it, and you want to be cautious. You look at the scanner, but in this case, it's really like the thing is that we have projects that are going to be buying the token every month. So a lot of times when you're looking at these tokens, they're making money from a tax fee, right? So they have some tax, they have some burn on it, which we'll have for like the first day. But the problem is their revenue model is based around volume, trading volume. So the price only goes up if people are trading it, if they're seeing it, and if they're finding it. And in those cases, those automated scanners can really break a coin, because if people look at that and then they don't trade it, that can really end it. But here, I want everyone to have the opportunity to buy into it, but the ultimate buyer here is not the holders of Clay. The ultimate buyer here is projects that are buying the coin, and they're not buying the coin to turn a profit. They're buying the coin because they want to support my development work. So that's something that really should be considered when you look at this and look at the tokenomic design. And if I don't own this amount of supply, that whole model breaks down and it doesn't work anymore. So that's how it's going to work.
I agree with you 100% in regards to a lot of these automated scanners are not accurate at all. Unfortunately, it pretty much the only ways that you have all these people using these newbies or people who have experience in looking at the contract or audit the contract in different ways, which is the unfortunate part about it. And so within the space, as you know, the majority rules, which you have all these scanner that's accessible to everybody out there. And everyone's using it, which is kind of sucks. You're right, 100%. I've seen contracts where it's 100% legit, yet somehow, based off that, these scanners that DEX tools incorporated in a DEX screen, incorporated in their platform, and it red flag. I've seen a project go dead because of that reason, and just simply because of that reason. And it's not even true, and I've seen it, which is crazy. But yeah.
So that's why I really think it's a mistake to focus on user volume as a way to drive the value of a token, because if you need to do some like with this coin for Zodiac that I designed for them, it's burned every single hour. It's getting burned by bots that trade on their decks. And I don't want to go too much into it, but basically it doesn't need human users to come in there and trade the coin in order for the price to go up over time. So you don't rely on like DEX Screener as like a route to bring in users to make the price go up. You just rely on bots to come in, trade the coins, and drive the price up over time. And here, we're not relying on bots with Clay, but we are relying on projects. So we're relying on projects like Zodiac, like GDEX, like other ones that I'm talking to, that they want to support it. They want to buy the coin. And so if people come in and buy it, great. But we don't have to have people finding the coin on CoinGecko or on DEX Screener in order to drive the price up, because the price will just go up as these projects buy it, and they're not buying it because they're not buying it to sell it. They're buying it for locked liquidity and burns. So it's a little bit different than other meme coins, because most meme coins are a greater fool game, right? Where you're buying the meme coin because you're expecting someone else to buy it later. And here, we know who that someone else is. The someone else is these DeFi protocols. So that's why I think Clay should be evaluated a little differently than other meme coins.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. This is actually very unique when you actually have other projects with the DeFi space of supporting your project by buying and providing liquidity, which is very unusual within the meme space, within the space in general. So you're right. I think the project should be evaluated differently. And I will definitely look further into your project. Now, I think regarding the Trump token, though, Ceramic, I believe that if you look at the tokenomics right now, the circulation for Trump is only around 20%. So in order for you to reduce that total supply and reduce the market cap, they have to lock up 80%. So right now, as we're talking right now, 80% of the token is actually locked up, I believe.
Yeah, I mean.
So,
yeah, I think that their situation is a little different than this situation, but yeah, I mean, everything I'm saying, like, I'm not going to sell. I don't want to do vesting because of these tax reasons. If people don't trust me and don't believe what I say, I think they should just go ask. And if you ask people and you don't trust what they're saying, then just wait, because the problem is with these vesting is when the cliff happens, people are just going to sell into that, because if people are buying it based on the idea that, oh, it's locked up so they can't sell onto me, then those people are going to sell when the token's unvest. And that's not really what Clay is about. I mean, we are providing this opportunity for people to come in and trade at the launch, and we have this like first day burn to reduce the supply based on that, but that's not the primary purpose of Clay. That's kind of a secondary thing to raise awareness and bring people in. So that's, I mean, I agree with you that if my main goal was to launch a day one coin and then it does its thing and we're done, then yeah, I would lock the coins, I would vest them, and then do it that way. But that's not like what the goal is here. Like, this is something that's going to be around for a very long time, because this is how I'm going to be supporting myself and my development work for the rest of my career. So
now, I
there's
also imagine ceramics. So knowing that you're a developer, seems like you're a great developer. You've been coding for a very long period of time. Seems like you have a community out there that trusts you, even some project within the DeFi space as well. Now, I can not only imagine that it will end here. I mean, is there further aspirations for the projects that you can speak on, or it's just pretty much a token that, for appreciation of your technology? Is there any other developments that will be tied into this meme token ultimately?
yes. So what's going to happen is projects are going to continue to integrate it into their protocols. So the first one, FC Zodiac, the two biggest backers right now are TerraClassic and C Zodiac. They're going to be doing different things. So on TerraClassic, we have GDEX that's really supporting it at the launch, and we have people from that TerraClassic community who want to grow the liquidity on the chain, because that's going to help repay USDC, improve this bridging technology. On C Zodiac, on BSC, C Zodiac is going to be adding the coin to their farming pools. So very quickly after the launch, probably within 1 to 2 weeks, you'll be able to farm token on C Zodiac's title decks with Clay. And I have like a lot of different open source projects in the pipeline that are at different stages of development. And I've already started talking to people who want to like fork existing stuff and they want me to involve it. Basically what I tell them is, hey, look, you can use this tech. I can provide you with the support and so forth. All I ask is that, number one, everything I do is open source. It's a public good, so anyone else can use it. And number two, as a show of support, you integrate the coin into your platform. So for instance, if there's like, I have like a money market technology that I've been working on for some time called a pawn shop, that would, any project that wants to launch that, I would request them to list Clay as a collateral asset. Or if there's like some NFTs, I would ask them, hey, would you please add Clay as a payment token, or find some way to integrate Clay into your protocol. So I expect that projects are going to want to do that because they want to use my tech. And even though like these, because I'm releasing all the code open source, but the thing is, if someone comes in and they're integrating my token, they're showing support for me, of course I'm going to want to show support for them too. And that means that, say, custom features that they want or specific issues or bugs that they want fixed, I'm going to be obviously prioritizing people who are supporting me over people who aren't. So I don't see why projects who are using my tech wouldn't want to integrate the coin. But as far as the coin itself, it is a meme coin, and there's a couple of reasons for that. So one is there's been a recent announcement by the SEC that meme coins are not securities, which is awesome. So it means that we can safely launch this. We can launch Clay. It can get listed on exchanges. It can get listed anywhere with no legal issues. So I don't want to turn this into a utility token by promising you that I'm going to be developing on it. So that's not the case. But I do expect it will be reaching more chains than just BSC and TerraClassic. I'm talking to some protocols on some other chains who I use my tech who may integrate it. And there may even be some centralized exchanges who, it's kind of a question that I'm kind of running by people, because we want to make sure that any centralized exchange that lists the token is values aligned. Like, it's not something where they're just like pumping the coin or something. It needs to be where the centralized exchange is doing this in order to support the open source mission and the pro-liberty activism that Clay is about.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, this is a very unique project for sure. I've been gotten to know you for a bit thing. You definitely bring a lot of value to the project, 100%. This is actually something I'm very interested in. Look at the website. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this about? And now I
Mhm.
got to know you and your background, and all this project supporting a meme token by providing liquidity. This is actually very unique, very unique. I have not had a meme token that come in with this much, I guess, credential already, right, from the developer. And I think that definitely stands out from you for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's because of the change in the regulatory environment, Like if you look at, like for me, 2 months ago, I couldn't do this because I mean, I have my own life. I have a pretty, decent life for myself. I can't really take a lot of legal risk. And so as soon as the SEC comes out, when Trump launched his meme coin, and then the SEC, and that was fine, and then the SEC says meme coins are now legal, they're not securities. Well, now you have people like me who are more skilled and more have a bigger background and have lots of more opportunities can now enter this space. Whereas before, you really can only have people who are willing to take a lot of legal risk, and often those people are not the most honest. People who are risk takers can be really great, but sometimes that can also include fraudsters. And so there's a change in, like, you're going to see more people like me. I'm not special in this way. There's going to be more people coming out that are launching higher quality meme coins moving into the future, especially in the United States, because it was, if you wanted to follow the law, which I'm someone who follows the law as best I can, you couldn't really do it last year, but now you can. So that's why.
100%. And same thing, we are the same page. For the longest time, we have not launched a token, and you're 100% correct. So we actually, USA Crypto Group, we are actually working on a project, actually a couple of projects actually, due to the fact that the regulation has eased up with Trump launching a token as well. And like you said, meme tokens are no longer considered as a security, so you don't have to go bypass the Howey test, etc., and all that. So yeah, we're on the same page. We are on the same page as you. Very exciting
Yeah.
time.
Share me some more information about those tokens. Like, tell me a bit more about it, because some community tokens, like places I've done AMAs, like the project owners, like Pangea, for instance, for Greg with he has his community token Pangea, and we're able to do cross Pangea Clay liquidity with him as a partnership. So maybe we can do something like that. But I need to hear more about it first.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk to private after this. For sure,
Mhm.
100%. And I can use some of your I guess coding knowledge, etc. But I am planning something I believe pretty big,
Mm.
and we all should have think big, and one thing about the Web3 is that I think if you think out your business plan accordingly, I think the
Mm.
scalability is unlimited, like just because the nature of Web3. I think for the first
Mhm.
time that you can actually have that whole world connection globally, right? Not
Mhm.
just within your parameter radius of like regular Web2 business. So that's so beautiful about Web3. I'm in
Mhm.
awe every single day, just able to like talk to business. I mean, like developers like yourself and some
Mhm.
and seeing the business plan, the scalability, and it's just amazing. It's an amazing time for us, especially with USA now, like you said. I
Mhm.
think Trump is gonna make projects that where you pass regulations where if you invest in a USA project, there's no capital gain tax. That's gonna
Man.
incentivize a lot of developers. Uh, yeah, just gonna give a lot of advantage to us, right, to USA people, which
Mhm.
we have not had that for the longest time, right, being in USA. So I think the playing field now is equal, finally.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, I look forward to see a lot of developers like yourself, Ceramic. I think you're right. I would love to see more USA people stepping up
Mhm.
and develop, along with us
Mhm.
as well. It's going to be incredible to see the next few years.
Yeah, you're just going to see more and more of this. I read a lot of economics papers because that's part of how I'm able to do things like fix stable coins. And there's so many papers about how much taxes destroy entrepreneurship. And it's really crazy. Like when you look at this research, the research from the NBER, which is the United States Economics Research Institute, that's very highly regarded. You read these research papers, and you just start to wonder, like, how good, like, because people always focus on the benefits of government spending, and I mean, I'm sure some of it is necessary, but when you look at the costs of what taxes impose on the economy, the reduction in entrepreneurship, the reduction in working hours, just the reduction in education, even, like, people are less motivated to skill up when they're getting taxed on the money they make from that upskilling. So yeah, I really hope that capital gains tax thing goes through and they're able to reduce that, because that would be transformative, because there's, for a bunch of reasons. One reason actually has to do with regulatory, because right now in the United States, or if you're living abroad as a US citizen, you have to pay tax on every single trade that you do on the decentralized exchanges. Now, there's some court rulings going on about this, because it may not actually be considered income, but the official position of the IRS is you have to tax that. Well, the IRS published a guidance last year for decentralized exchanges that starting in 1 to 2 years, they have to KYC all of their users and then send them tax forms. And I actually wrote them a letter when I saw this ruling came out. They did reduce. They actually responded to my letter in their ruling, and they said that they're going to make some small changes to it for certain situations. But they kept the core of it, which, that's, just imagine that every time you try to use a DEX, you have to KYC, and then they're going to send you a tax form. I mean, there really needs to be some change. Like, that would be so destructive to DeFi, I think.
I agree 100%. Even I think a tax code on a regular tax code is also needs to be revised as well. It's a mess. Yeah, a tax code is a mess. Yeah, I think it needs to be simplified. It needs to be revised 100%. But I think that's a different.
Yeah. One thing that comes up a lot in these papers that I read, economics papers on tax, is that the taxes cause less damage when they're very broad and low. So every time you add an exemption, or you raise the tax, or you shrink, like, the number of people who are paying a tax by adding these, like, exemptions, you cause more economic damage than just the tax. So if you are going to tax, it should be simple. It should be everyone pays, like, a flat rate, and it's easy to calculate, and that's just how it works. But unfortunately, when with all these exemptions and this complexity, it creates so much paperwork, and it creates a lot of economic damage. But
100%, a little deter entrepreneurship, right? Spirit of it is just I agree 100%. Even in real life,
I mean,
I'm an entrepreneur in real life too. Even the tax code for small businesses, it's a freaking nightmare, man. It's that's the reason why 90 businesses fail, because of the stupid tax code. It's crazy. Well, that would know what they're using our tax money for circumcisions overseas, right?
I know, it's just crazy. Yeah, I mean, I spend maybe 20 to 30% of my time on compliance and tax issues, and I mean, and then what are they doing with it? They're funding condoms in Kenya. I mean, what on
what
earth
is going on? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
LGBT parties in Cambodia. Like, I mean, come on, people. I mean, and that's going to hurt the reputation. Like, if you've traveled abroad a lot, most countries are less LGBT friendly than the U.S. is. So, I mean, a lot of the U.S. embassies, they're doing these, like, annual gay parties. I mean, I support gay rights, of course, but you have to realize that a lot of countries, that's still kind of taboo. I mean, even very close allies of the U.S., like, Korea or Japan, and then the U.S. embassy is doing these big gay parties. I mean, the local residents of those countries get kind of the wrong idea about what the U.S. stands for.
I can go on different conversations about that, but I don't know. I feel like it's getting out of control for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
I really think a lot of things in life is environmental impact, right? Influence, right? So we got to be very careful of what we do out there for sure, because I believe that a lot of it is actually learned, So I mean, that's a different conversation, but ceramic fingers, man. I look forward to the project. I would join your TG. Actually, I did join your TG. I'm gonna do further research into this. You are definitely a different type of meme token that comes comes in where your credential is there. You have projects where it's supporting you. But yeah, man, I look forward to the launch, and that's on March 1st, right? That's in a week from now.
That's right. It's in a week, so I've got my work cut out for me this week. A lot of people to talk to, a lot of things to do. And the only thing I would kind of want to add maybe is that, this really is about people supporting my open source activism and pro-liberty work. Those two things, liberty and open source. And if you're worried about the amount of tokens that I'm holding in my wallet, if you're listening to this, I understand that people who see it on a scanner, they might miss this message, but I would just want to point out that many successful startups, the tech companies, the founders maybe hold 80%, 90% of the shares. And now with meme coins being legal, there's going to be more of this where you have people who are coming out with stuff that's kind of unique, a little different, and has a stronger tokenomics and isn't just about trying to find a new buyer for the coin, something that has something solid behind it. And there's going to be more people like that, and I expect the systems will adapt to that over time. But that would be kind of the final message I would have, is kind of focus on the core of what we're doing here.
You're right, and I think if you assess what's going on in the meme space lately, I mean it's a mess, right? So whatever's going on is not working. You literally couldn't even last for more than freaking 2 days, right? And you guys all here listening to this, amen. You guys know that. I mean, Pump Fund spitting out 10,000 projects a day, literally 10,000 projects a day. And nothing lasts more than 2 days. So you guys think about that, right? I mean, it's a messed up environment right now that we're in. So things got to change. So yeah, I mean, I'm very open to, especially with Fingers here. I mean, he has a lot of credential behind it, right? It's been building for a very long, very long time. Project's gonna back up the project as well. So there's some value here. I think, like we talked about earlier there, or he mentioned earlier, I think you have to assess this meme token differently, and I think it deserves to be assessed differently as well. Thank you so much, Ceramic. That was a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you for the time, and let me know about the token that you're launching. I want to be involved in that.
Definitely, and yeah, I will. Let's talk in the DM. In fact, I'm gonna send you to a link we have called a developers room. Just connections there, nothing very active, but a bunch of developers in the room. I'll send you in there, and we'll keep in contact there.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good, guys. I know there's tons of questions out there. It's been more than an hour already. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna go ahead and pin their TG, pin Ceramics TG. Okay, go over there. Do not spam the room. Maybe just kind of give a feedback or ask questions that you asked on the banner there, and we'll pick a winner over there. Maybe like a $5 or $10 winner. I have my team come over there and pick a winner. But yeah, I encourage you guys to at least follow, because actually Ceramic is actually a real developer in the space, right? Not a fake developer where you pay like 10 cents to launch a pump fund token. So I think he deserves a little attention over there, a recognition, right?
Thank you.
All right, Ceramic, that was a great chat, and we'll chat soon.
Okay, take care.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well, I think that wraps it up. Again, I think this is actually a very interesting project, and I look forward to do further research and join the room and kind of getting to know Ceramic Fingers more. Right? I think it's a different type of meme coin for sure. So yeah, I think my perspectives have changed for sure since I looked at the website. So there's more to this project than what the website portrayed there. And I know a lot of questions been asked. How come there's not much on the website? I agree with you. There's not much on the website at all, actually. But I think there's more to this project. So I will pin the TG, guys. Okay, I will pin the TG. And make sure you join the TG. Okay. Do not spam. Just a feedback only, and we'll pick the winner over there as well. So as far as listening go, I'm gonna just pick one. would like to do a lot of giveaway here. Let me just scroll down here and just pick one winner. Jan Bono, congratulations, you're the winner. Usually, if you're first time here, would like to give like a $15 to a listener as well. So I will get your username sent to my team, and they will post all that later. Okay. After this, guys, we will post over YouTube as well. So if you guys want to listen to it again, etc., it will be over YouTube. So with that, I'm actually kind of fatigued talking for the first time, which is crazy. I don't know what the hell I have here, but I don't usually get tired talking, but I'm actually a little winded. It's kind of crazy. So, but hey guys, thank you so much for being here, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you so much. Bye bye.